Hey everybody, welcome back to Gideon Stuff, and welcome to another episode of 5 Random Knives. As always, I really wish I didn't have to say this every time, but I do. These are not reviews, okay? Oh wow, look at my shadow. Oh, gotta get that fixed one of these days. These are not knife reviews. These are just kind of overviews. All of the knives that I show in today's video, except for one at the time of recording, have full reviews. And even that one will have a full review later. So if you want full specs, details, you want to see cutting footage and all that stuff, I include all that information in my full review, so you can check that out. This is just kind of a little showcase. And the 5 knives that we're looking at today are all unique because they have something that sets them apart from the pack. Today we're doing kind of a themed video. A lot of times I'll do these videos and it's just random things I like about random knives. All 5 of today's knives have some feature that makes them stand out from the crowd. So let's go ahead and jump in. Let's get started with a knife that I am blown away by how much I liked it. The CJRB Fugly. I reviewed this towards the end of, in fact, this was my last review of 2025. I freaking love this knife. You can see this knife has gotten a lot of use. This is an excellent EDC budget knife, but it comes in such a wild and wacky form. This knife looks unlike anything else out there. The name Fugly absolutely suits this knife. I would not say this is a pretty knife, but I think this is a cool looking knife. I'm a sucker for things that are weird, wild, and wacky. This is definitely all of those things. This is a Happy as Larry Knives design. This is actually his only design that's marked with the Have a Nice Day logo. I love his design language. I love his attitude, and he puts a lot of that into his knives. This is a very, very fun knife. We have kind of a sway back feature going on here. The knife starts tall, slopes down, and then gets tall again on the blade. Actually super, super comfortable in the hand. You can choke up in this very big square finger choil. You got claw marks on the blade. Why? Moving on. You can actually deploy off of them if you get them just right. We've got very unique thumb studs. I really like these thumb studs, actually. They offer a lot of grip. Good thumb studs. And they are my favorite way to deploy this knife. Just a wild and wacky looking knife. You see a silhouette of this and it's instantly recognizable. This does not resemble a whole lot of other knives out there on the market right now. And I think that is super, super cool. Definitely a knife that is just very, very weird, and I love it for that. It's also a front flipper. It's kind of... I'm not a huge fan of front flippers, but this one works really, really nicely no matter what your front flipping style is. Just a really, really cool knife. Definitely a very neat addition to my collection. Moving on, a knife that I absolutely love, the Cold Steel 8015, or in this case, the 8015 Light. And what I like about this knife is the Scorpion lock. This is a Demko designed lock, and it is super, super cool. Once you practice with this lock, excuse me, behind the camera. Oh my gosh, come on, Gideon. It just becomes second nature to use. It's super strong, but it's also very fidgety. It's very fun. I think it gives a knife a really, really cool aesthetic, great look. And the Cold Steel 8015 and 8015 Light is the most affordable way to get this lock, and these are the only production knives that feature this locking mechanism. You can get a custom from Andrew Demko. It's going to run you quite a bit of money, but these are the only production way to get into this lock. I love the 8015. This is my favorite folding knife design of all time. And a big part of that is because of the lock. These are hardworking knives. These are robust knives. They're durable. They can take a beating and just come back asking for more. And the Scorpion lock, just a great, great locking mechanism. Very easy to use with gloves. I love it. I love it. I love the sound it makes. Let's listen to that again. Yeah, it doesn't get much better than that. Very, very cool knife. Very unique user experience. And this, again, is one of those things that I love because it's different. There's nothing else like it out there, but it's functional. This is an awesome lock, arguably even better than the Triad lock. As long as you're holding the knife, there is literally no way for the blade to come closed. It does have a positive lock, even without your hand grip, but gripping the knife just further strengthens that lock, which I think is pretty freaking cool. These are awesome knives, whether you go with the light version or the S35 VN version. Really, really cool knives. I can't recommend them enough. They're awesome. They're definitely unique. All right, let's go ahead and take a look at a fixed blade. And this is the most recently reviewed knife on this list as of the recording of this video. This is the Civivi Modern Hunter. And what makes this knife unique is primarily this blade grind. We have a flat grind here and then a hollow grind here. Very, very interesting. This knife is aimed at kind of a small game or fish type of knife. And yeah, excellent for breaking down fish or small game. This blade is really suited to passing through like wet, sticky substances, like flesh or whatever. I think it works really, really well for that. It also works pretty good for food prep with like veggies and stuff as well, because this hollow ground area up here kind of works as a little bit of a separation mechanic. You cut through your tomato or whatever, it comes up here, and that kind of starts to fall away from the blade. Very, very unique. The handle is also pretty unique. You've got this really kind of crazy grip here. Works in your, psycho grip. It's a very, very cool knife designed by Kyle Lamb. I like the way this guy thinks. This handle is based off of some knives of his that are more aimed at self-defense, but works great on this knife too. Locks you in pretty well. This is a very unique knife, and I had a lot of fun carrying this for review. This blade introduces some new feelings when you're cutting things, I guess is the way to say that. Whatever. It's a cool knife, and I always appreciate people doing something a little bit different. Now, I'm not sure I want every single knife I own to be ground like that, but on this particular knife, it worked very well, and it gave me a very entertaining and enjoyable user experience. Moving on. This is the Sniper Blade Works DMF, and this one is a version that you cannot get anymore. This was a Battle Box exclusive. This was a budget version. These were like $90. $10.95 steel, and it's a steel frame lock. You can get these knives from Sniper today. They've got, I think it's S30V steel and titanium frame lock. But the thing that makes this knife unique is just all of it. I mean, look at this thing. What? This knife looks unlike anything else out there, except, maybe other Sniper products. They definitely have a very unique design language, but I see where they're coming from on all their knives. I mean, this pistol grip right here is so freaking comfortable. This just works. Out here, this works. Got this little thing, this little grip. It works. This is a very well thought out knife. It looks kind of like a Medford that got mutated out in the wastelands. I think I'm thinking about Fallout because this little logo here reminds me of Fallout. It looks like a mutated Medford in a lot of ways, but it functions so well. Now this particular blade shape or blade grind with this hollow and then this little tiny flat section, not necessarily my go-to maybe. I think this would have been awesome if it just was one solid saber grind, but it does cut, okay? I'm not gonna say it slices particularly well, but it does cut. Very thick, not the thickest thing ever, but it is pretty thick. Interesting jumping up here. Your thumb studs do double as blade stops. Surprisingly smooth. The pocket clip does kind of suck. We're not going to lie about that. The pocket clip's not really the greatest thing, but you can deploy it. Again, I'm under, oh my gosh, sometimes reaching around the camera's a little bit hard. You can deploy it off of that big old pill hole, but I really do like just deploying it with these studs. Very, very snappy with the studs, and very solid lockup. Interestingly, no over travel stop, which I find to be kind of funny, but there you go. We do have some like faux carbon fiber inlaid on this side. just a really borderline hideous knife. Maybe even not borderline. Most people might think it's hideous. Again, I'm a sucker for knives that look different. So even though this thing is ugly, in my heart, it's beautiful. I really do love this knife. What a weird knife. I haven't carried this in a long, long time, but I will pull it out every so often and just kind of marvel at the audacity of this behemoth. It's wild. It's wild, guys, and I love it. I absolutely love it. Definitely a knife that stands out in my collection. There's not a whole lot else out there like it. And as far as I know, that is the most affordable version of the DMF that has ever been made. All right, last knife. This is the newest knife to me, and this is the one that, as of the recording of this video, I do not have a review out for yet, and I imagine this video will come out before the full review, so bear with me on that. But this is the Real Steel Evolution Ironclad, and just like that Sniper Blade Works knife that we just looked at, this is a budget version of a premium knife. I like a lot about this knife, and the thing that makes it unique is this button here. This knife is technically a frame lock, a steel frame lock, but this button allows you to operate the frame lock in a finger-safe manner. Now, I kind of thought that maybe this was just a gimmick, and you might think that, but actually I do think it has some practical use. If you're wearing gloves, it is a lot easier to close a frame lock with a button. It's easier to close it with a button rather than, accessing the actual frame. Now, something else that's kind of interesting too is there's not a whole lot of cutout to get to the lock bar, but you still can, which I think is pretty cool. So you can operate this like a regular frame lock if you desire, or you can use the button. You can also use the button to deploy it, of course. But there's a lot about this knife that I really, really like. And this knife came out in 2025, and it kind of harkens back to older days of knife making, right? A lot of budget knives these days come in pretty, predictable forms. A lot of them are like button locks or liner locks or crossbar locks, but kind of aim more at basic EDC. This is a hard use knife. This is a tactical knife. It's running on washers. Love the jimping up here. Big, beefy ergos. We got a glass breaker on the end, full back spacer, which I love. This knife is very, very strong, but also very, very thin. It also has a secondary lock. So you push that up and you cannot disengage the knife, which is pretty cool. I don't use that lock very often. And what's cool about it is if you don't want to use it, it doesn't really get in your way. So, that's great right there. Big beefy thumb studs. I do like the way they do this cutout for the frame lock. And the frame lock does have an over travel stop in this case. Just a very, very unique knife, especially for 2025 standards. Steel frame locks, a lot of people don't like. I like steel frame locks. I'm a big fan of budget frame locks. So, whatever that's worth. Again, love this cutout. The pocket clip could be improved upon. Yeah, just a very, very interesting knife, a very unique knife. I've really enjoyed carrying it. My big complaint with it is I wish it didn't have this massive finger choil. It just takes away a lot of usable edge length on what is otherwise a very big blade. This knife isn't huge, but it is what I'd say is getting to be a large knife. Look at that. It is longer than the 8015. Although it is substantially thinner. But very, very cool knife. And they made this big choil because they wanted to have room for the little bar that allows the button to depress the frame lock. I think that's why they gave it that big choil, was to accommodate for that. I think there's some other people doing this now that have worked around that. This isn't necessarily unique anymore, with the button actuated frame lock or liner lock. A lot of people like Remet are starting to do that. But I think the form factor this knife comes in is a little bit different. This is definitely aimed more at a tactical crowd. And I think that's really cool. I like that a lot. We don't really see a whole lot of budget knives coming out that have this kind of attitude anymore, which I think is a shame. But focus up. There we go. There are 5 unique knives what I like about them, and, just a little showcase. Thank you guys so much for watching. Big shout out to my channel members at the Cowboy level. I appreciate everything you do for the channel. If you want to become a member and support me directly, there's a link down below. As for the rest of you hooligans, if you enjoyed this video, leave it a like, comment below, and subscribe. I've been Gideon, and I'll see you in the next one. Adios.